to 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We begin in South America, where Eletrobras has secured shareholder approval for a deal with Brazil. Eletrobras, Brazil's state-controlled energy company, has obtained sufficient shareholder support for a proposed settlement with the Brazilian government. This agreement resolves a legal dispute over government voting rights within the company. From Reuters, quote, the government of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva pushed in 2023 to regain influence in Eletrobras in order to better reflect its 46% stake of the firm's common shares. This led to a mediation process that lasted for over a year. Eletrobras was privatized in 2022 during the term of Lula's predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro, and under its bylaws, no more than 10% of a stake can be used by a shareholder to exercise voting power over the company's decisions, end quote. Moving to Africa, Ethiopia is nearing a preliminary deal with the IMF for a review. Ethiopia's finance minister has announced that the country expects to finalize the preliminary agreement with the IMF within days. This deal is crucial for Ethiopia's economic recovery and assessing international financial support. From Reuters, quote, bondholders and Ethiopia are at odds over whether the country is facing a liquidity issue, meaning it might only need more time to pay, or a solvency issue, which could require more debt with drawdowns known as haircuts. A draft deal with official creditors, which is expected to be finalized within months, gives the government more time to pay, but stops short of an outright haircut in favor of focusing on payment extensions. Next, we shift our focus to North America, where Canadians are voting in an election dominated by concerns about Donald Trump. Canadians are casting their ballots in the general election heavily influenced by concerns about the impact of U.S. policies under former President Donald Trump. The campaign has highlighted issues such as trade and economic stability. From Reuters, Carney has emphasized that his experience handling economic issues makes him the best leader to deal with Donald Trump, while Poilievre has tapped into concerns about the cost of living as well as crime and the housing crisis. And Trump's social media post on Monday reiterated his call for Canada to become the 51st state. And as of right now, per NPR, Canada has voted for the Liberal Party, aka Mark Carney, to be Prime Minister moving forward. Next, we go to across the Pacific, where Hong Kong has released the first batch of Democrats after 4 years in jail for subversion. Hong Kong has freed the first group of pro-democracy activists who were imprisoned for 4 years on charges of subversion. This release comes as a part of a broader shift in Hong Kong's political landscape. From Reuters, quote, the Democrats were found guilty of organizing an unofficial primary election in 2020 to select candidates for a legislative election. Prosecutors accused the activists of plotting to paralyze the government by engaging in potentially disruptive acts had they been elected. Western governments, including the U.S., called the trial politically motivated and had demanded the Democrats be freed. In Australia, the election race has also been influenced by Donald Trump's global impact. Australia's upcoming election is being impacted by global chaos associated with the former U.S. President Donald Trump. This influence is making the conservative vote appear risky as voters weigh the implications of international instability. From Reuters, quote, Peter is basically a mainstream Australian conservative who is not an extremist. Some people in the party got Trumpy in a trivial way, said former Liberal campaign strategist who knows Daunton and declined to be named. Independent politics consultant Simon Jackman said Albanese's decisions to delay the election when a cyclone threatened Brisbane meant the campaign coincided with Trump imposing tariffs, which shocked Australians. And finally, we go to Europe, where large parts of Spain and Portugal have been hit by power outages. From Reuters, quote, in Spain, power started returning to Basque country and Barcelona areas in the early afternoon and to parts of the capital Madrid on Monday night. About 61% of electricity had been restored by late Monday, according to the national grid operator. Engagas said it had activated emergency systems to meet demands during the blackout, while Pietro said returning systems to normal would take several hours, end quote. And of course, if you want to learn anything more, you want to read the articles in their entirety, they'll all be linked in the description below that like and subscribe button. Also down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine, as well as the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip, where I post links to these episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as the more American-focused podcast that comes out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.